It's no secret that streaming has taken the media world by storm. But what are the possibilities when it comes to CTV advertising? And how do brands who are just venturing in get a head start? Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Zafat, and I'm an Ad Age Studio 30 contributing editor. Today, I am joined by LG Ads president Serge Mata to discuss the possibilities and nuances of CTV advertising. Welcome, Serge.
Thanks, Natalie. Appreciate it.
I guess we should start out by talking about some of those key differences between CTV audiences and a more traditional linear TV audience. Can you describe them? And then how do brands sort of navigate that fragmented ecosystem?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of differences. Honestly, there's a bunch of related to scale. It's also around the audiences that you're really trying to find. The beautiful thing about CTV is you can actually go to finite audiences based on their viewing patterns, all in a privacy-friendly manner. There's something called ACR data, which is automatic automated content recognition, which is really a fancy way of saying is software that's sitting in there in a, again, privacy-friendly way that we can then build basically audiences of what people are watching and either be it on linear or on CTV. And that gives you, with the scale that the OEMs like LG and others have, that gives us the ability to go ahead and target very, very specific audiences based on their streaming behavior, based on if they're linear suppression, if based on somebody of fans of XYZ show. It all really, you can end up becoming very highly targetable audiences that you can then reach that you really couldn't do in linear. The other thing that's also key these days is the audiences that are available. There's a lot of people out there that are only watching CTV, right? And are not watching linear. Linear is by no means is linear going away. I don't want anybody thinking that linear is dead by any stretch of the imagination. It is definitely declining in usage, but there's certain demographics in the population that do not have a linear subscription or have a subscription with their cable TV subscription. And as a result, they don't experience that. So all they experience is they have a TV, a smart TV, they have the apps, and they have a CTV subscription to HBO Max, to Netflix, to whoever the case may be, to Discovery and others. And that's how they consume TV. So there is audiences out there that will not just reach on, you cannot reach on linear, that you can reach on CTV. And through the ACR technology, you're able to capture very, very finite audiences, including what they're watching on linear.
Makes a lot of sense. I wonder if we can talk for a moment about other ways to activate using mid-funnel. How do you sort of leverage that data in another way through a mid-funnel target?
It all depends. You can't give away too much of the corporate secrets here, but honestly, I think the what we're seeing in terms of a trend that is massive in CTV, and frankly, what has helped CTV and the growth of CTV is really everything that you've learned from digital is now being applied on CTV, but at a much accelerated manner. So one of the things that we're seeing in just in the past few 5, 6 months is the growth of programmatic. The programmatic buying on CTV, there are a lot of brands and that will exclusively use programmatic buying for CTV. And that's something that you can easily scale. It's measurable. And it's something that I would have thought, you know, in 2 to 3 years you see this trend, but you see it so much quicker on CTV. And I think this trend is only going to accelerate. It makes you wonder that by 2022, 2023, is most of the CTV buying going to be programmatic? And that's something that we can probably forecast based on what we're seeing today.
Certainly feels like there's a lot of changes happening, ranging from the evolving data landscape to the privacy conversation. I wonder, how are some of those changes sort of affecting the outcomes of CTV advertising?
Listen, the privacy piece is really critical, right? So you have to make sure from CCPA in the United States to GDPR in Europe and in other countries as well. I think the key is to make this opt-in, and that is what we have done here. And also, if somebody wants to opt out, you immediately delete all of their records. They have easy ways to reach you. And able to see it. Now, we don't report anything at an individual level, but these privacy laws are very, very important to track. We stay on top of it, and it's always going to be constantly changing. Right now, where we're also seeing is, and you've mentioned this, is it's not just the privacy angle, but it's also where we think this is all going, which is outcome based. So tying the data and tying the advertising and to truly return on ad spend based on certain outcomes. We're not quite there yet, so you can see if there's somebody did a click or there's an impression was served. But now, can you take it a step further and say a CTV ad and actually got somebody to visit a store or visit a restaurant or visit a movie theater when movie theaters open up at scale? So those are the things that I think we want to take for what we were able to do in digital very, very easily, but now move it into a performance-based and outcome-based results, but very, very quickly. And I think with CTV, the fact that you have all of this data, again, that's collected in a very privacy-friendly manner, you can all of a sudden apply these outcomes, and brands and advertisers can leverage them very quickly.
I wonder if you can help contextualize this a little bit for someone who might be watching, wondering how it all plays out. Can you give us an example of a shift in ROI for LG ads since transitioning major efforts to CTV?
Yeah, so we have a lot of obviously the broadcasters, when they leverage us, if they're premiering a show, any of during the fall premiere, anytime they want to highlight a show or there's a season premiere, leveraging the LG Ads platform and the LG TVs. And TVs, we have over 20 million households in the US, and we have 120 million TVs globally that we have access. So the network is massive. And the thing that's amazing and how they can leverage it, and brands have leveraged it, is it's the same creative and the same impact that we can apply not only in the US, but in Brazil, in Europe, in Australia. It's really all over. So the global aspect of it is massive. We're seeing certain advertisers, like one of the ones that I just heard about that is starting to spend with us quite a bit is in the cruise line business. Cruises are starting to spend again. Folks are starting to go back, and the cruise season is coming up in force sometime in January and February. All of a sudden, the travel industry, that's a great medium. As if they're introducing a ship, that's a great medium to go ahead and show the actual video and the CTV experience. But again, not just in the US, but globally. Now we're seeing this across the board, media entertainment. We're seeing this in like I mentioned, in travel. We're seeing this in insurance. That's also another very, very successful and increasingly vertical for us. It's really fascinating, the adoption that we've seen it. But I do think over time we're going to go more towards not just did they download an app. So if it's a content partner, did they download an app after advertising on the LG TVs? But what did they do? Did they go ahead and click the app? Did they watch the video? And did they go to one of the big retailers or big apparel companies out there? I think that is where this thing is all going. Now, the measurement piece is still tricky. We're not 100% there. Everybody is coming up with their own measurement pieces. We're trying to see if we can come up with consolidated measurement so that from an advertiser perspective, what they get is similar across the board. And that is a challenge. What you saw in digital, let's say, for example, in viewability, you don't have that issue here. It's not a lot of clutter on the screen. You have one or two ads and you have 100% viewability. So there's some differences, but overall, the brands that are leveraging it are seeing immensely return on ad spend.
Really, really appreciate it, Serge. I feel like we could go on, and yet I know we're coming up to time. We're so grateful for your time today and for sharing some of your insights with us.